Hey guys, my name is Alex and welcome to Dream Dimension TCG. Today we're going to be looking at how the card game is progressing. This year has been a doozy and I've been diverting my focus onto other things, like working on video games and drawing things unrelated to the TCG. That also means that making video content hasn't been a huge priority of mine. Sorry about that, although I do have a few ideas for videos. Who knows when those videos are going to be made though, am I right? Anyway, on to what matters, set 2. This set doesn't bring anything new in terms of mechanics, but I will be releasing 2 starter decks along with it. It's going to have more lucid ones and theta and delta creatures, and also more level 1 creatures as well. There are a few sketches done already, mostly cards that are going to be in the decks, so testing can be done sooner. But what I have in mind is releasing the decks before the booster pack, so the set 2 booster, so people can get cards that don't exist in the first set without waiting too long. Although it's not like it's going to not take a good while to make them anyway. The decks are going to be a mix of 2 factions. The first deck being a mix of lucid ones and daydreamers, and the other one being theta and delta with terror of the night. The way I'm thinking of going about it is making the LODD deck a starter deck focused on powering up the weaker creatures, so it will have creatures and spells focusing on affecting level 1 creatures so that they can fight against level 3s by forming a sort of wall of small minions. The stronger creatures in this deck will be the big damage dealers, almost like a general with their little minion soldiers. The TD/TN deck will focus on sacrificing your cards to activate effects that hurt your opponent, making use of your lost zone and robbing your opponent's creatures to use them for yourself. Coming up with these decks has given me ideas for cards and made me realize that I really need to look at other card games and see what they do. Like, why invent when you can just steal? But in all seriousness, don't be afraid to take things from other games and other mediums. When it comes to stuff like effects, they aren't exclusive, and if they work for your game, I say go for it. Now, you must be asking yourself, well, what cards are going to be in this set? What have you done already? This isn't a progress video at all, you haven't showed anything new. And I hear you loud and clear, so without further ado, here are the cards that I can show. There aren't many, but these are the cards that are completely done. The most recent one being Doppeltarget. My personal favorite out of all of them is either Phantom Thief or Jellycore Golem, but I have a long way to go, so that probably will change. Which one is yours? Tell me in the comments. I've got a few that are almost done as well, one of which is a Christmas card, art-wise of course, because it started as a design for one of the projects I mentioned earlier, but I liked it too much and thought it would fit as a card. So now we have 3 cards that are part of the holidays: Innocent Elf and the spell card in Witches shows up, and Divine Beast 30, which 30 is an Easter card for like eggs and whole divine thing of Christianity. With cards that are still in sketch form, we've got a ton, and by a ton I mean 12, more or less. I'm working from easiest to hardest, so things like spells and areas are going to be made after the creatures. Not specifically in that order, but still, since I do things like scenes or events for the spells and areas, instead of just a vague background, well, most of the time, because there are creatures which are more detailed. There is one sketch that hasn't been given any color, and it's Fairy Carpenter, This is going to be one of the first ones, the ones as in creatures, that I draw as if it was actually alive, which is something I did say in a previous video that I was going to do more. So I do need to work on what she is going to be wearing and lighting and the background and all that to figure out what I want to draw exactly before doing the final drawing. So here is something I've never talked about: rarities. As you've probably noticed, there really isn't a rarity system, no symbol to indicate, no color change, nothing. And why is that exactly? Well, it's simply because I have no idea how to make it work. So all the cards have the same rarity and you have the same chance to get any card. There are no commons, no rares, nothing really. So what makes some cards more special than others? Well, deep down, nothing really. Until now, like after I released the first set, so I'm gonna have to change things, which I did. What I mean by this is that the game crafter doesn't make foils, so no foils, no hollows, no like reflective shiny marks. So I thought, why not make something a bit special for some cards? And so I did. Say hello to Sonu Rare. Luckily for me, although it's a bit sad to say this, the booster pack that you can buy has only been bought once. Though it's a bit sad, it kind of has its advantages, which it allowed me to add this rarity to the card pool without worrying about anyone getting upset of like, oh, I bought 50 packs, but now that I bought 50, only now this shiny rainbow thing rarity is being added. Oh man, what a waste of money. So luckily I thought of something before it was too late. Like I said, only some cards will have this rarity, and that's because I'm choosing 3 cards from each faction that in my opinion are either good, so they have a good effect or good stats, or they look nice in a rainbow tint. And for the rainbow tint looking nice bit, it just means that, say, a set, a creature or spell or area in a set isn't that extraordinary, then I would just pick the one that looks the best with the tint. And I also choose a 4th card from each faction that I personally would like to see in this rarity. So it's a bit like injecting my own wants into the rarity. Another type of rarity that doesn't exist yet, because there aren't enough sets to make it work, is an alternative art rarity. What this means is that some cards will have new art made for them, and those cards will be rare to get. Since these alt rares, as I'll call them for now, are pretty much already released cards, the art will have to make it worthwhile. So I've been thinking maybe full art, like the Guardian cards, or like those sweet pop out style cards Pokemon makes, where the creature like goes out of the border and is almost coming at you. And yeah, if you probably haven't noticed, I do take a lot of inspiration from my childhood games. Oh yeah, almost forgot about the Guardians. I did mention them earlier when just now about the full art, but they also have a Sonu Rare version, and this is all of them. So there's no, some Guardians will have the treatment and some won't. No, this is all of them. And hopefully my calculations weren't too bad, so if they weren't, then these rare versions won't be too common, hopefully. Tell me what you think about this rarity system I came up with. If I'm not mistaken, the game crafter is planning on having foils at some time. I remember seeing a promotional video or announcement video or something that showed it at the end with like a sneak peek of what they're working on. So that means if they do allow foil cards, that's another rarity for you when the time comes. So you know how we have creatures, guardians, spells, like 3 kinds of spells, and areas? I'm thinking of making a new creature type. This new type would be an upgrade to level 3 creatures that would rival Guardians in terms of stats and serve to quickly finish a match with one giant attack. I'm thinking about doing this because Dream Dimension is a rather slow game in which if you attack your opponent's Guardian, you'll lose your creature unless it's due to a spell, a card effect or something. So that prolongs the fight a bit. But by having these awakened style monsters, creatures, whatever you want to call them, the matches would go much faster, and it would help speed things along and not make the game too stale and too boring. And since this is a creature, it would be affected by spells and other creatures, making it as powerful as a Guardian but as vulnerable as any other creature in the game. Now, although I do want to make these new cards, they are still a bit in brainstorming phase, which means that there wasn't any playtesting, there aren't any test cards even to try out, so there will be changes made, and there's really no point in talking too much about this new card type yet. Keyword yet. I am thinking, like I said, calling them Awakened because of the whole dream dimension, like dreams, you know, and that's also didn't mention before, but with the rarities it's called Sonu, S-O-N-O, rare because in my language Sonu means sleepy or tired or feeling dreamy, like, you know, you get what I mean. So with all that, it's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment with your thoughts on the set and the rarities and the card type and all that. And I'll see you guys in the next video.